Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. I am so excited for today's video. I've been itching to create it. So today I would like to go through my November writing goals and my Preptober rough draft challenge planner. I am participating in Sarah's rough draft challenge in November. If you're not familiar with what that is, Sarah over at Heart Breathings hosts a rough draft challenge multiple times a year, and it's geared mostly towards writers. However, you can create your own goals, whether it's revisions on your novel or project, or you're a content creator, or you're a graduate student. You can really set your own goal for November. And this was created by Sarah in response to the last year or so when people were leaving the NaNoWriMo community in droves for many reasons. So this kind of emerged from the lack of participants in NaNoWriMo, and I am so thankful to Sarah. She's so wonderful. She does so much for her community, and one of the things she does for her community is creates this planner. So this is the Preptober planner, like I said, and it also is a planner for the entire month of November. So I figured we would walk through this today, fill it out a little bit, have a chat, and talk about what my goals are for November's rough draft challenge. You'll have to excuse any pet noise, as I'm sure you've heard in the background. I have my office door open, which means the dogs and cats are free to come and go as they please. So I may end up regretting that decision, but we'll cross that bridge if we get to it. I also have one of my cats, Lilin, laying right here on top of my computer tower. She is just out of frame, but there may be some cameo appearances in today's video from the animals, but we'll just kind of cross our fingers for peaceful, quiet, cute cameos and not chaotic ones. But without further ado, I'm going to first blow out this candle because, I love candles and I wish I could have them lit in my home more often. But I'm really sensitive to smells. So is my husband. And we just get itchy throats, sinus blockages. My husband sneezes a million times. I get migraines. So the candle was cute for the intro vibes, but we're done. I can't do it anymore. I wish I could. So I did start filling out some of this planner already. And if you would like your own copy of this planner and to participate in Sarah's Rough Draft Challenge, all you have to do is sign up for her email newsletter. It's free, and you get access not only to this Rough Draft Planner, but also to her entire resource library. There are so many workbooks, planners, plotting tools if you're a writer, revision tools. Her resource library is just such a plethora of wonderful resources for you as a writer, as a goal setter, as a dreamer, a planner, a doer. So I highly recommend subscribing to her newsletter. You won't regret it. And the access to the resource library is worth it in itself. But the first page here is a welcome letter. And like I said, this challenge, you can create your own goals for it. So Sarah has already come up with some predetermined goals here. So if you are drafting and you want 10,000 words, there is the Emerald tier. The Sapphire tier is 25,000 words. Ruby tier is the classic would-be NaNoWriMo 50,000 tier. Citrine is 75,000 words. Amethyst is 100,000 or more words. And then the diamond tier is really what makes this challenge unique, is that you can create your own challenge. Whether it's writing 15,000 words because the emerald is not enough and the sapphire is too many, or this could be something like I said, if you're a content creator, post 5 videos in the month of November, or if you're a student, complete X assignments early, or whatever you want it to be. If you're exploring with cooking, you can try 5 new recipes. So the diamond tier really lets you do anything you want. Or if you're a writer, you can be working on brainstorming or revisions or edits. So this challenge really has something for everyone. Next is the checklist page. So there is a spot here to prep your plan, which we will work through some of that. Prep your tools, prep your writing crew, your novel, and your space. So we're going to kind of work through some of these things together. Next is a page of a to-do list, a shopping list, and a decisions list. And then you can see I've already filled out a lot of this. So on my to-do list, I have to make my October calendar, which I have, set my word count goal, create my Preptober plan, finish plotting book 1, create my scene cards, charge my free write, charge my headphones, book my writing retreat, which really, because that one is spending money, I'm actually going to put it over here. I take myself on a writing retreat every November. This will be my 3rd year in a row. I go to the same place, and I am not superstitious at all, but I stay in the same hotel room every year. Here's Astrid. Hi, Astrid. You're a little bit in the way. Okay, bye. I want to deep clean my office, create my November calendar schedule, set up my Scrivener and backup documents so that when I'm backing up my work from my free write, I already have an established place to put those documents. I don't have to, in that moment, create and fuss around with the organization of my backup documents. I can just put it where it needs to go and save time. I want to connect with my local writing group. I've been a little MIA from them lately. I want to connect with my Publish and Thrive Mastermind mini group. If you're not familiar with Publish and Thrive, Sarah over at Heart Breathings has a paid course called Publish and Thrive, and it basically walks you through everything you need to know for self-publishing. And within the course, you can sign up to be in a small mastermind group. So I am in a small group with a few other students, and I would like to reconnect with them. I need to sign up and set my goal on the Rough Draft Challenge website, which I will link Sarah's Rough Draft Challenge video. I think she has a whole playlist for Preptober, and I will also link the Rough Draft Challenge site so that if you're interested in joining, all of the links will be in the description below. I want to create a mock cover for the Rough Draft Challenge site. I want to make sure I have everything in my office that I need. Make sure that my traveler's notebook, my pencil cases are prepped. I want to set up my office so that there's some really cozy vibes in here. I want to make a post on my personal social media that my friends are to kindly leave me alone for the month of November as much as possible, that I will be focused on my writing and not have a whole lot of time to socialize with friends. And then I want to make some videos for Preptober and the Rough Draft Challenge. So this is the first video, the Preptober 1 video, goals, workbook. And then I want to make a second Preptober video, maybe kind of a vlog style, prepping, getting my pencil case ready, getting my space cleaned. I'm not 100% sold on that video. If it ends up being that I don't have time for 3 videos this month, that's probably the one that will get cut. And then I also want to make just a quick little vlog on probably Halloween, and, you know, just touch base and share the excitement in starting the Rough Draft Challenge on November 1st, the next day. All right, I apologize. I have my window open right in front of us here, but there may be a little traffic noise, but I'm sorry. The 5 minutes that I had my candle lit was enough to trigger my allergy or sensitivity, whatever it is. So I need the window open for a bit to get some fresh air into here. So moving on, I've got a pretty good to-do list. Obviously, the most important things for me to do are the actual writing related things, like plotting my book and making my scene cards, creating a mock cover, making a Preptober vlog. Those kinds of things are a little bit more frivolous and don't have to get done. But these are all things that I have found in the past really set me up for success and help me be productive in my writing challenges. Before Sarah's Rough Draft Challenge came about, I participated in NaNoWriMo. I've done it every year since 2018, I want to say. I did not participate in Nano last year. I have switched for Sarah's Rough Draft Challenge. But I have done some sort of writing challenge in the month of November since 2018. I have also participated in Camp NaNoWriMo many times, and alternatively now, Sarah's Rough Draft Challenge also happens during various months of the year. I think she so far has stuck true to the camp months of April and July, but don't hold me to that. So, my shopping list, things that I need to buy, collect, prep. I've kind of put in the to-do pile or to-do list, but things that I need to spend money on, and need is, you know, not, I don't need to go on a writing retreat, but things that I would like to spend money on. So I need to book my writing retreat. I am going to be going for 3 nights. I went for 3 nights last year. The year before, I went for 2 nights. And I originally booked my stay last year for 2 nights as well. However, I was on my period and just really not feeling well. So I feel like a lot of my time last year was kind of wasted because I was just rotting in my hotel room and eating snacks and watching TV and taking hot baths, which was lovely, but I was not nearly as productive as I wanted to be. So I asked my husband if I could stay an extra night to try and make up for some of that quote unquote lost time. So I really liked having 3 nights away, so I will be doing that again this year. The only other thing I need to spend money on, and this isn't strictly writing related, this is also just kind of a grocery list thing, but we are desperately low on tea in our house. We have like not even a half dozen bags of tea left total amongst all of our teas. So I need to do a stock up on tea, preferably, you know, this month, if not in the next few days, maybe this weekend. But I like to have tea while I'm writing, so I'm putting this here. Even though it'll kind of go on a generalized grocery list, it's still something that I like to have when I'm writing, so I want to make sure I don't forget it. And then decision list. I often don't know what to write in this because I feel like sometimes the decisions coincide with the to-do list. I guess I could say deciding on my word count goal could be a decision. I think some folks maybe use this more as decisions for their story, like decide whether this scene is in Act 1 or Act 2A, or decide the city that this story is taking place. I feel like it's more story-related decisions, but I would not look to this list for that kind of thing. I have, as I'm sure you've seen if you're familiar with my channel, I have a whole notebook dedicated to my story and my series that I'm working on. So putting those kinds of things in here would just get kind of lost in the shuffle, and I would never think to look here for that information. So I am going to cross out the decisions list because I don't use it. Okay, so this calendar page is kind of where we start getting to the nitty-gritty, and I've already started working on some things here. So step 1, Sarah says, is to mark off any days this month that you know you won't be able to write. And I don't think, at least as of this moment, I don't think I have any specific days where I know I can't write. My husband and I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so we aren't traveling and doing family things. Sorry for the traffic. It's not like my birthday is this month and I need to take the whole day off. None of those sorts of things are going on this month. I do have a couple birthdays, but nothing that I would need to take a whole day off for. So I've already done that. Choose whether or not you want to add any buffer days. If so, how many? So buffer days are great for if you're not feeling well, if something unexpected comes up, if you know, I don't know, if literally anything comes up unexpectedly, if you're not feeling well, or if your partner or child is not feeling well and you have to be a caretaker, buffer days are great. Buffer days are also good for days when you just wake up or just you can't bring yourself to write. So buffer days are, in my opinion, very, very necessary. And I've given myself 8 buffer days, and I was really generous with buffer days because I don't have any days that I know I can't write, but I'm sure there will be days where I can't write because of things that come up. So I've been extra generous with my buffer days, and I just don't want to push myself to the point of burnout. I don't want to push too hard. I want to keep this fun. And while I love the kind of grueling challenge of NaNoWriMo, I think it's great to push yourself. Really, at the end of the day, you're only pushing yourself for your own purposes. There's no external reward or consequence to pushing yourself that hard, at least externally. So you're really only competing, quote unquote, with yourself. And in my opinion, I don't want to experience burnout. I don't want to push myself too hard. I don't want to feel stressed. There have been plenty of NaNoWriMos where I have felt stressed about the word count, and I've written words that were not as good or that I didn't feel confident with because I was just pushing to get that 50,000. And while it feels really good to win NaNoWriMo and hit the 50,000, I think I have won more times than not. It's also maybe not worth it in the long term because December and January, I don't want to touch my writing. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. And sometimes thinking about how much of a hot mess it is because I pushed myself to just get the words out makes me want to touch it even less because I know that when I go back to it, it's really messy. And if I can avoid that, I think I would like to. I would like to avoid burnout. I would like to avoid avoiding my project in the following months after November. So I have allowed myself 8 buffer days, and I put them kind of arbitrarily on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thursdays, I put them, this is going to make me sound like an old lady, but my neighborhood pub does bingo every Thursday, and it is my favorite thing. I look forward to it all week long. I love to go play bingo. So I gave myself a buffer day on Thursday because Thursday evenings I play bingo like a granny. And then I gave myself Tuesday as a second buffer day. Tuesday is typically one of my running days. And so I chose Tuesdays so that I can make sure I get my running done and focus on any kind of household chores that need to get done. So I figure if I'm not writing, I can at least be making sure the dishes are done or the bathroom counters are clean or a load of laundry's going in, and trying to kind of keep up on the household chores throughout the month. So I chose my buffer days. So step 3, and I've already been doing a little bit of pre-mathing here. So step 3 says to tally up your total days off and subtract this from 30 to get your total number of writing days. So 30 days minus 8 buffer days is 22 writing days. And I am going to put that up along the top here. We can get rid of that sticky. Next, step 4 says to divide your word count goal by the number of writing days on your schedule. This gives you a personalized daily word count goal. So this is where my spiffy little calculator comes in. So if we go back to the tiers here. Whoa. So this is where I'm struggling and I haven't decided. I am deciding right here, right now, in the moment with all of you. I am trying to decide if I should shoot for the Sapphire tier of 25,000 words or if I should shoot for the Ruby tier of 50,000 words. But I know what I just talked about a few minutes ago, saying I don't want to push myself, I don't want to burn out. But I still kind of want to do, I think Nano has just trained me well enough to go for 50,000 words that I feel like that's what I should do. However, no matter what I choose for the month of November, if I want to change my mind mid-month, it is totally fair game to do so. There are no rules. There are no, you must stick with what you originally planned, or, you know, this is not a rigid challenge like that. Sarah says that you can change your goal at any time throughout the month. You can change it on November 29th if you want. If you were shooting for 50,000 words and you're at 26,000 words on November 29th and you cannot write 29,000 words in the next day, you can change your goal to the Sapphire and suddenly you won. Instead of saying, oh my God, I only got halfway to my goal, you can just change your goal and say, wow, look at me. I hit my goal. I am so proud of myself. Look at everything I've done this month. And so, with that being said, I think I would like to push myself for the 50,000 words, knowing that I can change my mind to the Sapphire, or I can change my mind and do the Diamond if I think that I can do 35,000 words instead of 50. So I'm going to right now set my goals as if we are doing the Ruby challenge. And just knowing that I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. So I already did the math for 50,000 words divided by 22 days of writing. That gives me a word count goal of 2,273 words a day. And my goal is 50,000 words. All right. So now I can use the target word count sheets to create my own writing plan, which those are, I want to say these things back here. So first I did make a little tracker, not tracker here, but I took the calendar days of October out and just made goals for each week. So the first week is only 2 days. So 2,273 times 2 is 4,546 words. So next, 7. Okay. 2,273 times 7. 15,911 words is my goal for every week after that, because conveniently, these are all perfectly full 7-day weeks. All right. That is my calendar. Should we maybe pretty it up just a little? We could, I think the only thing that I would be actually interested in doing is, let me see. I don't know if this is, I think this is this color. Let's see. No, it's different. I don't know where that marker went, but let's do this purple. I know it doesn't totally match the dandelion washi tape on the bottom, but also I don't really care. So I like to I do this in most of my planners. I like to circle the days or highlight the date numbers, I guess is what I meant to say. Just to make it stand out a little more. Sometimes when you're writing in it, the numbers can kind of get lost in the sauce of everything. So, okay. That just kind of helps make them stand out a bit more. So next we are moving to the math portion. So Sarah's going to walk us through, and I'm also Sarah and going to walk you through some math here. So the point of this is to help you plan how many sprints I need a day to win my rough draft challenge and hit my daily word count goals. So on these next pages, we're going to do 3 things. We're going to determine my typical or preferred sprint length, how many words I average in a typical sprint, and how many sprints I need a day to hit my goals. And once I know these 3 things, I'll be able to estimate how much time I need to dedicate to my writing each day in order to meet my goals. So I have already determined my preferred or average sprint time, and I made a mistake here. This is 20 minutes, not 25. I have been leaning more towards 25-minute preferred sprint lengths, but my tried and true is 20 minutes. Sorry, that's my That's my neighbor Pete. He drives a big truck. He's got a few big trucks. And he's always driving in and out of the neighborhood. He's very busy. So, 20 minutes is my preferred sprint length. And a sprint is just, if you're not familiar, a sprint is just a set amount of time that you decide I am going to focus on my writing or my cooking or insert whatever, studying, cleaning, whatever. So for me, writing. I like to write in 20, 25, or 30-minute sprints. And then next, this one takes a little bit of tracking. If you typically don't keep track of your word counts, you will need to start. So, the average word count per sprint, aka how many words do I write in my average 20-minute chunk of time. So, the next piece is figuring out your average word count per sprint. So Sarah says she encourages you to do at least 4 writing sprints in a row for your desired length of time, and that will give you a decent starting average. And I would recommend choosing, if you are going to experiment with this and do your 4 sprints, I recommend keeping the same amount of time. Don't do a sprint for 5 minutes and a sprint for 20 minutes and a sprint for 45 minutes and then another sprint for 10 minutes. Because it's not the same chunk of time, you're not going to get in and out of a flow state at the same time. Some of them may take you longer to get into flow state and can therefore affect your word count during that sprint. So I would choose the same word or the same time length every sprint for those 4 sprints just to get an average. And after that or before that, you can play around with what you like for your sprint length. But just for brevity's sake, to figure out your word count, I would recommend trying to make all 4 of those sprints the same amount of time. So you're going to do your 4 sprints for, Sarah gives the example of 15 minutes here. And then you're going to make a note of your total word count that you wrote for each of those 4 sprints. When you're finished, you take the total number of words you wrote for all 4 sprints and divide it by 4. That will give you your average word count. So I already know my average word counts because I keep very meticulous track of my writing sprints. So I have very solid data from the past 5 years. And every year when I fill out this planner, my word count per sprint goes up because I've gotten better over the years at writing. And it's really nice to see that average go up a little bit each year. So my average word count that I write in 20 minutes is 646 words. So the sprints needed per day. Now I know my sprint length. Okay. Sorry, I live in an area with lots of loud trucks. So we're going to say, okay, I know that I like to write for 20 minutes. I can figure out 2 pieces of crucial information. So I'm going to take my daily word count target, which is 2,273 words, divided by my average word count per sprint. So 646. So now we do 2,273 divided by 646. So that is 3.518. So I'm not going to do 3.52 sprints every day. So I'm going to round up to 4 sprints. So theoretically, if I maintain my average, it will take me 4 20-minute sprints of writing to reach my 2,273 words. So Sarah gives a really good example on this page, kind of breaking down every step we just did. So now we're going to do the challenge math calculator for my goal. So my goal is 50,000 words for the whole challenge, divided by 22 writing days. And that gives us the 2,273 words per day. So then we take my daily word count target of 2273. We divide it by my average word count per sprint, which is 646. That gives us the 4 sprints. So like we just did on this page here. Number of sprints per day, we're going to carry this down. 4 sprints a day times 20-minute sprints plus breaks in minutes. Because you're not just going to stop the timer at 20 minutes and then restart it immediately at 20 minutes. You're going to get up and go get some water or pet your dog or take a walk or eat your dinner, fold your laundry, whatever it is. Most likely you're not just diving straight into the next sprint. So I like to do 5-minute breaks. So 15 minutes of breaks in between all 4. So a sprint and a break, a sprint and a break, a sprint and a break, and a sprint. So 1, 2, 3. So 4 times 20 minutes is 80 minutes, or an hour and 20 minutes, plus 15 minutes of breaks. So that is an hour and 35 minutes. So 80 plus 15, that's 95 minutes. Equals my desired writing time per day. Why is this not making sense? Oh, I just did it ahead of time. I see. Got it. I was like, what the hell? I was just getting ahead of myself. Okay, so 4 times 25, including the 5-minute breaks. So that's technically 100, but I'll count it, whatever. Because I'll use that extra 5 minutes somewhere, I'm sure. Okay. There we go. So then we're going to take my total challenge word count goal of 50,000 words divided by my average word count per sprint of 646. And this is going to give us... Can you hear Sawyer? Okay. This gives us the total number of sprints needed to win my challenge. So if I can maintain an average of 646 words, I will need 77.39, but rounding up, I will need 78 sprints to win and hit my 50,000 word target. So I know that was maybe a lot of math, but it's important to do because this is going to give you a number that either feels realistic or it's going to give you a number that is terrifying and you know to go back and readjust your plan. Now, the next page is a rewards planner. So if you are someone who's motivated by rewards, whether it's buying yourself something really nice when you reach the final goal, or they don't have to be monetary, shopping, money-related goals at all. They could be something as simple as when I hit 10,000 words, I get to play The Sims. When I hit 20,000 words, I get to paint my nails. When I hit 30,000 words, I'm going to go for a walk with a friend, so on and so forth. So they can be just things you love to do. They don't have to be money related. You don't have to buy yourself anything. I am not someone who is motivated by rewards, because if I want to paint my nails, I'm just going to paint my nails. If I want to go for a walk with my friend or buy myself that cute washi tape, I'm just going to do it. This does not work for me, so I am ignoring this page. Next, we have some meal planning ideas, and the idea behind this is not to be so regimented and plan out your every waking moment for this challenge. That's not it at all. But if you are someone who struggles with decision fatigue, if you're someone who is trying to coordinate meals with a family member, this could be helpful, just in the sense that if you don't know what to do for dinner, you can come and look at your sheet here. If you are at the grocery store and trying to decide what you want for breakfast, you can just look at this and say, oh yeah, I really love cottage cheese and fruit. I'm just going to have that. And then having some of these decisions made for you just kind of takes some of that mental energy out of the equation, so you have that much more to spend on your writing. So I am lucky enough that my husband cooks dinner, so I definitely help him think of ideas for dinner every day, but he's the one preparing it. And I don't know if I'll really use this much at all, but I did fill in some ideas of things that I like to eat, just to show you. I guess, some of our favorite dinners are tacos. We love to do tofu, veggies, and rice. Frozen pizza. We also like to do tofu sandwiches. We like to make pasta. And we are finally almost in soup season, or kind of just entering soup season. So I don't really use this too much. I didn't even fill this out for the last rough draft challenge, but it's there if you are someone who finds this helpful. The next pages, however many pages, are all related to your story. So brainstorming ideas. There's lots of pages. Rough draft challenge project, kind of a little about page about the project you're doing. So this is my cult series, book 1. And then you have just a little section here to fill out about your project, a space to brainstorm 10 scenes, a working outline, which is really helpful. I don't use these pages because, again, I have my notebook where I have all of this information, and I don't need to spend time doing this in here when I already have it somewhere else. So here, Sarah has a really good, helpful page on scene by scene plotting and what happens in a scene, kind of a basic structure of a scene. So these pages are really helpful to get you started on brainstorming and plotting your novel. Next is a creativity toolbox and rewards brainstorming. Again, I'm not doing the brainstorming. I am not doing the rewards portion, but I will write down some things that bring me simple joys and make me feel more creative and in the mood to write. So I love to have a cup of coffee or tea. There's a special matcha tea from Trader Joe's that I really like. I know it's a tea, but it's a special one. Oh, see, I told you my neighbor Pete's very busy. He's coming by with his truck again. Another thing that brings me joy is having a clean, yep, bye Pete. Having a clean and tidy office and desk. I find it hard to focus and work when my space is a mess. I like to have playlists and really set the vibe with music. Sometimes it will even change depending on what scene I'm writing. I like to change the music to kind of fit the mood and vibe of the scene. Going for a run or even a walk is really good. It's important to take care of my body when I'm spending so much time in a chair writing, that getting out, moving my body, getting fresh air is really important. And again, doing some stretching. I don't know how many times you've heard me say this in my videos, but I really want to get into yoga. Not to be some yoga studio girly. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not my vibe. But I really think it will help me with my running, with my day job where I sit at a desk most of the time. Obviously, I will be spending even more time in front of or at my desk in November. Another really good idea or simple joy that kind of refreshes my creativity is bouncing ideas off a couple of my friends. I have a couple writer friends who I use as sounding boards for my writing stuff, and I love to bounce ideas off of them because I always end up coming up with ideas that I didn't know were just under the surface, and talking helps me kind of unbury them. Another thing is painting my nails. I just like looking at my fingers flying across the keyboard and seeing my pretty fingernails. So I don't know if you can hear Astrid. She has one of her toys, I'm sure. She only yells like that when she has her toy. Another thing that gets me excited is Astrid, is to watch writing videos or vlogs on YouTube. I love seeing other people working on their writing. It just really motivates me to do the same. And then I also want to, similarly to bouncing ideas off my friends, I want to check in with my writing groups, both my local and my Publish and Thrive group. So these are some things that also reading or watching stories in my genre. So these are things that make me feel good, that give me joy, that give me motivation, that set a good vibe for my writing. These are all just things that I can do to bring myself joy and put me in the mood to write. So if I am ever coming to my desk with low energy, low motivation, I can look at this and say, okay, what are 2 things I can do right now from this list that will help me feel better? Maybe it's calling my friend and talking about my story while I clean my desk, or it's changing the playlist because it's not the vibe I need right now, or maybe I watch a YouTube video and make a cup of tea. So these are all small, easy things that I can do to make myself feel better and help keep myself in that writing headspace. Next is emergency motivation. This is just motivation for when you want to quit. Maybe I am really far behind, I'm tired, I don't know where the story goes next. This is the oh shit toolkit. So this is when I need to dig deep on what's really going to make me feel good and inspired to keep going when it feels really hard. So I think number one is a pep talk from a friend or my husband. I can also reach out for a pep talk from writing groups, because you know that they have also been in the same place as you of wanting to quit and not feeling up to the task of writing. And then watching YouTube videos or vlogs. Particularly Sarah at Heart Breathings or Kate Kavanaugh, particularly those two channels. I don't know what it is about Sarah and Kate, but their writing videos and writing vlogs are just so motivating that those can often pick me up and put me back in the mood and give me that spring in my step that I was missing. Another thing for my emergency motivation is to jump into some live writing sprints. Sarah's community has several admins that host daily writing sprints, sometimes multiple times a day. There's various people on Twitch. Kate Kavanaugh streams writing sprints on Twitch. So finding a live stream of people actively working on their writing really kind of puts that fire under my ass. And even if I'm watching it on a replay, I can't participate in chat. I can't say, hey, I'm feeling down. I need a pick me up. I'm here to focus with all of you. Just doing the replay has that same effect for me. So next is you did it. This page is just a quick overview. You can pause the video here if you would like to read. But this is basically Sarah congratulating you on finishing the Preptober part and where to find resources and those types of things. So the next page is our actual planner. So here is kind of a game board version. So you can write, what I usually do is I write how many words I want to write that day. And on the bottom, I'll write down how many words I actually got that day. And there are 50 blocks here for the traditional 50,000 words. So you can color in when you've completed 1,000, 2, 3, so on and so forth, 1,000 words. You can also take a crystal or a rock and move your piece along the game board each day as you go through the month. And then this is kind of the meat and potatoes of the planner itself. So we have a weekly overview. There's a box along the top with spaces for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack ideas. And then there is a schedule section along the bottom. And you can choose whether you want your planner to be a Sunday or Monday start. Sarah has graciously and kindly offered us more than one option for no matter what team you're on, Sunday or Monday start. I typically do not use the meal planning section because I don't need it personally. So often I just wipe these out and don't use them. And it looks like that's exciting. The first day of the Rough Draft Challenge is also Double Down Day. Double Down Day is, in Sarah's writing community, the first Saturday of every month. So what that is her administrators who host those live sprints I was telling you about are going all day hosting live sprints. So from sun up to sundown, different admins in her community are hosting live sprints. And the goal is to double down and get down double what you would on a normal day. So most of this week is actually in Preptober, but we have our weekly overview. And then Sarah did give us the Preptober days. So it has the days leading up to November 1st. And we will just look at November 1st, since this is when I will be starting the daily section of the planner. So at the top, you have the date, you have the day of the week, and how many days are remaining in the challenge, your beginning word count that day, which is obviously going to be 0, words left to write that day is 50,000. And then you can set an intention for the day, what scenes you want to write. You have a mini word or sprint tracker here. When you're done writing, you can fill out your mood, what you're loving about your story, your daily wrap up, how many words you wrote for that day, and then a new monthly overall total. And you'll go through the entire week that way with your daily pages. And then we have a weekly wrap up. So how did you feel about this past week? Your word counts for each day, total words that week, any notes you want to make, some story problems that you're thinking through, and what your intentions are for the next week. And then we go back to our weekly schedule here. And again, it jumps into the dailies. You have your weekly wrap up, and then the following week, all the way until the end of the month. So then you have a challenge wrap up, which asks some similar questions. How many total words you got for the month? What was your average number of words per day? How do I feel now that the month is complete? My highest and lowest days, a best memory, and then what I'm proud of. What worked really well this year? What didn't work out as I hoped? What can I change? And then what are your intentions for this book that you're writing? And this is a nice way to kind of, in a snapshot, summarize your month. Next, this is some journaling space. So Sarah gives us 2 pages to say, while the story is fresh, use this space to journal about major changes, edits, updates you need to make. If your novel isn't finished, make notes about what happens next. And then here are some word count trackers where you can keep track of your sprint, today's total, and the monthly total. And she gives you 200 sprints to keep track of. And then word count targets. So if you are doing the standard 50,000 word count goal, the target is 1,667 words every day. And then here you write how many words you got, how many words above or below your goal you were, the total word count for the month if you were following this number every day. You can write your total words for the month, how many words you are over or under for the month, and any notes. And then if you are not following this, you can create your own here. So even though my goal is 50,000 words, I'm giving myself 22 writing days. So my word count every day will be higher than this, but I might just fill out both of these. We'll see. I might just stick to this one. We shall see. So here, this is just another fun way to keep track of your word counts. These little bars are in 10 block bars. These bars are made out of 10 blocks. And what I like to do is every little block is worth 100 words and every bar is worth 1,000 words. So there are 50 total bars here for 50,000 words. And it's fun to just color them in as you go through the month and see these little boxes fill up. Here is a game board. So like I said before, you can take a little crystal or rock and you can move your piece along the game board, write your goals in, write your word counts in, and then watch your rock or penny or whatever go across the game board all the way to the end of the month. Then we have a couple notes pages in the back. And that is the end of the planner. And then there's a cute little note from Sarah on the back encouraging you. So I am very excited. I think Sarah did a wonderful job on this planner, as always. I feel the motivation starting to come back for my writing. As I've mentioned in previous videos recently, I have not been focusing on my writing a whole lot. I've not really felt the motivation to write, and that's typically because in summer I like to focus more on my physical activities, and it's so nice outside. I like to spend time outside. I like to be moving my body in the summer. So my writing every summer kind of takes a dip. And then as we get into fall and winter, I tend to focus more on my writing. So I can feel that motivation and that itch to write coming back. And I am so excited for the Rough Draft Challenge. I am curious to know, I know since Nano has ceased to be an organization and their challenge is no more, I know lots of other challenges besides Sarah's have popped up. So I'm curious to know if you're doing a different challenge for the rest of the year or in November. And I did also hear that the original creator of NaNoWriMo is starting a Nano 2. So it is not affiliated with the organization. They are totally separate. It's very basic. I don't think there's a website to keep track of anything. So let me know if you're doing Nano 2 or if you're doing the Rough Draft Challenge, if you're in Sarah's community. Hi, Hearties. But I'm curious to know if you're participating, what your goals are, what you like to do to prepare for November, because I love hearing how other people prep and I love getting ideas. So I will be back soon with another Preptober video or another planner video. We'll see which one comes first. But until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.